Let's set the stage for the time period, what we're talking about. Keep a bookmark, or if you want to, in 2 Kings 22. We'll be coming back there. We're going to be all over kind of this area, the 2 Kings, 2 Chronicles area, so we shouldn't sway too far away from any of those areas. See, the Assyrian army and the Assyrian Empire, it took the northern kingdom of Israel in the year 722. Shalmaneser is the guy's name, and his brother's name was Sargon II. Okay? You say, well, why is that important? We'll get to that in a minute. See, back after Solomon, the nation of Israel was one unit, right? There was just one kingdom for Saul, one kingdom for David, and one kingdom for Solomon. Then Rehoboam came, and the kingdoms were divided. The northern 10 tribes, they went and they were the kingdom of Israel, and then you had the southern kingdom of Judah, and it was ruled by David's descendants. And the northern kingdom was ruled by, at first, Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and they all fell into idolatry. And if you look at every king in the northern kingdom, they were all wicked. There wasn't one of them that was trying to do right. Now, there were some wicked kings in the southern kingdom of Judah, but it was, by and large, there was enough to balance them out. There's, I'd say, as many or more righteous kings than were wicked kings. Okay, but again, never was there a king in the northern kingdom that was, they had no righteous streak, okay? Like the closest thing that they had was maybe Jehu, and he cut off people from the house of Ahab. He kind of God's instrument to judge Ahab. So, maybe you can call it that, but he went into idolatry, very soon after he took the crown. So there wasn't a long period of that. So the northern kingdom was captive in the year 722 by Shalmaneser and Sargon II. Okay, look at 2 Kings 18, verse 9. It says, "It came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king in Israel, that Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria and besieged it." So Shalmaneser, he comes up and he besieged it. So what does it mean to besiege something? It's they would surround the place, and you can't get supplies in or anything like that, and they would pretty much choke the fort or the area, the castle out, by implementing that tactic of surrounding the place. So look at verse 10. "And at the end of 3 years, this Sargon II, he was Shalmaneser's brother. He took over the Assyrian Empire by like a violent coup, and he took over. So Sargon II, at the end of 3 years, it says, they took it," talking about Samaria, "even in the 6th year of Hezekiah, that is the 9th year of Hoshea, king of Israel, Samaria was taken. And the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria, and put them in Halah, and in Habor by the river of Gozan, and in the city of the Medes, because they obeyed not the voice of their Lord, their God, but transgressed his covenant, and all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded, and would not hear them, nor do them." Go to 2 Kings 19. 2 Kings 19. So they capture the northern kingdom, completely carry them away captive, and around 20 years later, Assyria attempted to expand their army by moving south to Judah. And Sennacherib, who is the son, you'll see his name in the Bible. You'll even see Sargon in the book. Sargon's name is, I believe, mentioned once in the book of Isaiah. But Sennacherib, the son of Sargon, he was the king of Syria at this time. And if you recall in the passages, he's the one, they're trying to conquer Judah, and he's the one that's telling Isaiah, hey, have the gods of these other nations, we've conquered everybody. Have these other gods protected their people? Don't let Hezekiah fool you. God's not going to protect Judah. We're coming, and we're going to conquer. And he was trying to cause people to doubt and cause people to fail in their hearts. And Hezekiah was king of Judah, and he prayed that God would deliver Judah. Look at verse 36. 2 Kings 19, verse 36. So did God deliver Judah at this time? Let's look. It says, so Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh, because God caused this confusion to happen in the armies of the Assyrians, and they're all just they just start killing each other because there's all this confusion. Okay, and the angel of the Lord smites a bunch of them. So Sennacherib's like, he's literally, his army's getting wiped out. So he hightails it back to Nineveh, the capital of Assyria at this time. And look at verse 37. And it came to pass that he was worshiping, talking about Sennacherib, in the house of Nisroch, his god, that Adramelech and Sharezer, his sons, the guy's own kids, smote him with the sword, and they escaped in the land of Armenia. And Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead. So two of the guy's kids kill him, and they flee into another country. So that's the kind of wicked culture that this was. But Assyria grew, and Judah remained untouched for a long period of time. And I think it's interesting, if you look at a map of the Assyrian Empire at this time, whenever Hezekiah was king, literally it's like everything over in that area is covered, and says this is part of the Assyrian army, and there's just this little section that's Judah out of all of that. I mean, they conquered Egypt, they conquered all the way up into Turkey, they conquered this huge area, and there's Judah, and there's Judah. And that just shows you that the outside armies, that's not what's going to conquer you. That's not what's going to get you. Their sin is what got them. Amen. Their sin is that's what got Judah, not them. Go to 2 Chronicles 33. 2 Chronicles 33. Go to the right in your Bible. And Israel at this time, whenever Hezekiah is the king, Israel was a godly nation at this time. I mean, they had their faults, but Israel was a godly nation at this time. And then Hezekiah passed away, and he had a son, Manasseh. And Manasseh was a wicked, wicked man. He was very wicked, causing Israel to go into sin. Look at verse 9, 2 Chronicles 33, verse number 9. It says, so Manasseh made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to err and to do worse than the heathen, whom the Lord hath destroyed before the children of Israel. But you know what? He did all of these things. Keep looking. Manasseh got it right before his life was over. Look at verse 10. And the Lord spake to Manasseh and to his people, but they would not hearken. Wherefore the Lord brought upon them the captains of the host of the king of Assyria, which took Manasseh among the thorns and bound him with fetters and carried him to Babylon. And when he was in affliction, he besought the Lord his God and humbled himself greatly before the God of his fathers and prayed unto him. And he was entreated of him and heard his supplication and brought him again to Jerusalem into his kingdom. Then Manasseh knew that the Lord, he was God. Go to verse 21. So Manasseh got it right toward the end of his life, but he had a son, Ammon. Look at verse 21. Ammon, this is 2 Chronicles 33:21. Ammon was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 2 years in Jerusalem. But he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as did Manasseh his father. For Ammon sacrificed unto all the carved images which Manasseh his father had made, and served them, and humbled not himself before the Lord, as Manasseh his father had humbled himself. But Ammon trespassed more and more, and his servants conspired against him, and slew him in his own house. But the people of the land slew all of them that had conspired against King Ammon, and the people of the land made Josiah his son king in his stead. And we just read about Josiah before the sermon and showed that he was a godly king.